The Detroit Lions add Rook Ororo, which is the weirdest name to say because it just sounds like a dog, and that's why it fits for the Detroit Lions. Welcome to Third and Wrong. I'm Dillon, and this is going to be my mock draft 1.5. If you haven't already, please check out my mock draft 1.0. That was my first mock draft for the season, but this 1.5 mock draft is going to be a reaction to the combine that had happened last week. I was on vacation, so I didn't make a mock draft last week, but this is also pre-free agency, so a lot of stuff can change. That's why it's a 1.5. 2.0 will come out after the first wave of free agency, but it's just good to talk about the different team needs that there are and the different trends that are happening with the draft right now. So I am going to be talking about that today and a lot more. Just, specifically the first round is going to be a big conversation, a few trades there, quarterback trade as well. And then I have the second and third round already picked, so I'm going to go over those brief. That way you can kind of look at your team, kind of look at the pick. A lot of these are more, fitting either the needs or what I think would be interesting for the team to do. It's a mix of what I would do, but also a mix of what I think could happen. So obviously, third and wrong, we don't get everything right. If you have any issues, obviously, please leave a comment. I do want to shout out. I have a comment that I had a good conversation with Stephen Koshel, said I would shout him out. He asked, in my last mock draft, why wouldn't the Cardinals trade down when Marvin Harrison Jr. was off the board? I agree with that guy. So I did make a change in my mock draft to kind of reflect that if Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't there at 4, what the Cardinals could do. But the thing is, teams need a trade partner. You can't just force a trade to happen, unlike I can do on the PFF mock draft. So, this is going to be a fun mock draft. I think a lot of it is very interesting. I'm going to be wrong about this. There's no way I'm going to predict the whole thing. But it's a good conversation piece, good thought exercise to just see, what could happen for these teams, what trades could potentially happen, and how can the board fall in different ways. So if you appreciate that, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. We got a really good response from our last 2 videos, and it's, very encouraging for us to keep on putting out more content. So you can give us a quick subscribe if you haven't already. Sorry, I can't speak. It does help us out. It's exciting to pull up, oh, new subscriber today. And us being a small channel, it's very exciting for us. And you get to, start the journey with us too. So do that real quick, and then we will jump into this video. Okay, so like I said, this is a 1.5 mock draft, meaning it is after combine, pre-free agency. So a lot of things can change at this time. But I'm going to go walk through the first round. Then I have the second and third rounds already done, so we don't have to go and click and find things and make it a slow video for you guys to watch. But before we do, I just want to talk about a few things that have changed since the last mock draft that I did. The biggest thing is the Colts did franchise tag Michael Pittman Jr. Big fan of that. The Ravens were able to lock down their defensive tackle, and there was a few other tags. Russell Wilson got released, so a lot of big changes. A lot of rumors that are kind of indicating what teams are looking for a veteran quarterback. So before this whole draft even started, you might be able to notice I did make a few trades. So I'm going to clear those out now, and then we can talk about the draft order that I came up with and everything. So I am at the moment a believer that the Bears are going to go with Marvin Harrison Jr. That requires a trade for Justin Fields. They could keep him, but I say it requires a trade for Justin Fields. I went with the Atlanta Falcons mainly because I think that would be a really good fit for Justin Fields. I think there's a lot of trade compensation here that kind of makes it a very interesting deal. So I went ahead and went with the Falcons. You might be able to notice here there's another trade for the Cardinals, but what had happened basically is I had the Bears trade up from 9 to 8, and also their third round pick up the same spot as well. So the Bears jumped the Falcons twice, but they also get an additional third round pick for Justin Fields. So 2 increased picks in the first and third rounds, and they get an additional third round, which they then trade along with another future draft pick, which kind of is up in the air. But that trade allows the Bears to trade up from 8 to 4 with the Arizona Cardinals. So Steve Goshel got you covered there, bud. The Bears go up, and obviously they would probably be looking for a wide receiver at that point. So those are the trades up to this point. I think that is it for the first round. So nothing entirely crazy, but I think it is definitely an option out there. Kirk Cousins right now is being rumored to be the next Falcons quarterback. It hasn't been happened yet. So we'll see how things actually fall. But let us jump into it. Wow, I'm just looking real quick for my first round, so that way we can get this going quick. Okay, so I have my first round pick, so I'm just going to kind of read this and select it on the board at the same time, so that way it will be pretty quick. But I do have let's see here, I'll just kind of have this situated. So first overall pick, not a surprise, I already said, Caleb Williams going to the Chicago Bears. The second pick would most likely be, wow, what is going on? Okay. So the first pick was Caleb Williams, like I was just talking about. The second pick is going to be Drake May out of North Carolina. I think he's the next dude. There's smoke about him being the fourth quarterback off the board or something like that. I just don't see it. I think that's just the way that the draft season ends up is people start throwing out random crap to get you intrigued into their video. I'm doing that too, but I feel like in a little bit more realistic way. But yeah, so Drake May. We have him going here, number 2. Third would be Marvin Harrison Jr. I like to think that this could potentially be, where Kirk Cousins ends up, or, a number of different situations could happen. And I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is more valuable than another quarterback. The Chicago Bears, like I said, traded up from 9 to 8 to now 4. Makes it an easier jump, and the Cardinals and Falcons don't get screwed over. They get good compensation, and that will kind of trickle down in the rest of this draft. So I went ahead and got Malik Neighbors for Caleb Williams. Number 5, I think this would be really interesting, just to kind of see what does actually happen here. But I like Rome Odunze, quarterback, and then 3 back-to-back wide receivers. I think it would be kind of crazy, but I don't see it being too far out of the realm of possibility. The New York Giants move on from Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, going with Jaden Daniels. So Daniel Jones, Jaden Daniels, almost kind of like an opposite there. So kind of a cool thing there. Easy pick for the Tennessee Titans if you're here. Joe Alt. Just a phenomenal tackle prospect. You put him wherever you want. Most likely left tackle for day 1 starter. I think that's a great option. I'm it's a good pick when I don't like it. I'm a Colts fan. I don't like them getting a good offensive line. If they take wide receiver, tight end, I would freaking love it. The Arizona Cardinals had traded down. I think rather than going with a wide receiver, I think they could go with Jared Verse here. I don't see a lot of people having this guy as a top 10 pick, but I think he has a lot of qualifying traits to be top 10. And I think I think it shows a lot that he went from a smaller school, went to Florida State, was still producing, still, kicking butt. So I like Jared Verse as edge one. I think Dallas Turner could be edge one too. It's just kind of your flavor. So with that being said, Dallas Turner goes back to back. Out of Alabama, great edge. I think he fits Atlanta's style very well. The New York Jets on the board here, I think tackle just makes the most amount of sense. Honestly, you could probably talk me into different tackles, but I'm going to go with Fatanu right now. With the Vikings, this is a pick that I think could happen whether or not they keep Kirk Cousins with J.J. McCarthy. I think he offers a lot of mobility as far as just not like running, but like getting out of the pockets, extending the play, and doing things. And, if Kirk Cousins is there, it gives them time to adjust to the NFL, the throwing windows, the time to throw, the just everything along with being a quarterback. And Kirk Cousins wouldn't be a bad guy to learn from. But if Kirk Cousins isn't there, J.J. McCarthy can, take the year to get to where he needs to be. Doesn't hurt that he has Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison there to throw to. With the Broncos here, just making sure here, I don't have them getting a veteran quarterback to replace Russell Wilson. So Bo Nix is someone that I think could fit into the system pretty good. And then that brings the last quarterback of, just double checking here, of the first round with Michael Penix Jr. I think the Raiders do need to move on from AOC, Aiden O'Connell. I think Michael Penix Jr. is a first round pick. He's played 2 healthy years. Yes, he's a little bit older, but he's got great accuracy. He's got just great throwing ability, throwing it to where the wide receivers are, not where the cornerbacks are, not taking sacks. I think he's a great prospect. Aiden O'Connell's more of a gunslinger. He's got a lot of good things, good qualities, but Penix, I think, is an upgrade. And if you can get an upgrade, I think it's worth it. That leaves the New Orleans Saints taking another tackle, kind of in the same situation. They just need to get that position figured out. Fuaga fits, and I think he would be, able to go into right tackle. If not, maybe a guard to begin with, but I think he will be a solid tackle in the NFL. And then this brings my team, the Colts. One of my favorite picks here is going edge. If you watch my other videos, you probably have heard me explain why I like edge here, but the way that Chris Ballard has drafted, to me, he just hasn't been able to get that edge that's going to get around the corner, that's going to be game planned around, and be that elite edge rusher. And I think if either Verse, Turner, or Leatu Latu are there, I think those are the picks. But if not, maybe they trade for a veteran for that 15th pick, or they take someone like a Brock Bowers, or a cornerback, something else. But I really like edge here for the Colts. If one of those big 3 are there, I'm always going to be taking them. With the Seattle Seahawks, I do like going with someone that's a little bit closer to their territory with Jackson Powers Johnson. Very, very solid center prospect. 16 might be a little bit too high for him. Obviously, this could be a great trade down situation. But locking down interior O-line and center, that flexibility, I think that's a really strong pick, and even further strengthening that offensive line, which would do wonders for the Seattle Seahawks in the run game, in the pass game, altogether. With the Jacksonville Jaguars, I have them starting a run of corners with Quinyon Mitchell. I think he's cornerback 1. Not necessarily run here on corners because I'm going to take a break real quick and get, Olu Fashanu, Penn State. I think he can go and be right tackle. Very solid for the Cincinnati Bengals. There's a lot of options there. J.C. Latham and Marius Mims are very interesting prospects in that role too. So, it could be any one of those, but I do like Fashanu as well a little bit more right now. With the Los Angeles Rams, I went with a corner, Terrion Arnold. I think he's someone that fits the Los Angeles Rams. and I think he would be very welcomed into that DB room. So I have Terrion Arnold there. The next pick, I have the Steelers going Cooper DeJean. Not really a big uniform change for DeJean, but is a great corner that can also blend into being a safety if that's what they prefer. And, I think he gives a great deal of flexibility, has played in, somewhat similar climate, and is just a baller. So I think he would fit with the Steelers very well. The Miami Dolphins definitely need some O-line help, so I went and grabbed them. J.C. Latham from Alabama. A lot of people have him as one of the better tackles. I think he would fit with the Miami Dolphins, however. The next is another tackle, Amarius Mims. I like this dude because of his size. He definitely was a little bit more on the run side of being a tackle. Not a whole lot of true pass sets. But with Amarius Mims, you get an ideal frame to mold around. The Eagles are all about, strengthening strengths. Lane Johnson is also getting closer, but not, kind of joining Jason Kelce. So, maybe he slots in as a guard right away. One of those guards slides into the center, and then he's your future right tackle. But I like his size. I like his mobility. I think that would be great for the Eagles to get before they need to have a tackle. And at 22, getting a quality tackle like that for your future is awesome. With the Houston Texans, I did have them going defensive line because I think the coach is wanting to strengthen the defense because the offense right now is as good as it is. It would be great to add like Adonai Mitchell or some of these other wide receivers that are very exciting. Xavier Worthy is another one. But I think getting Byron Murphy here at 23 is a steal. Adds a lot of strength to that Houston Texans D-line. And I think that fits the mold of what they want there. With the Cowboys on the clock here, I have them going also to the D-line, getting Johnny Newton. Oh, if you know Johnny Newton, he's a very, very solid defensive tackle. A lot of versatility. Fits a need for the Cowboys as well. The Green Bay Packers on the board here. I think this is more of a Green Bay pick than what I would do. But I do like Darius Robinson. It is a reach, but this is a reach that I could see the Green Bay Packers going for. He has versatility as an edge and defensive end. He plays a lot on the defensive line, numerous different positions. I would say there's a lot of things that he could work on, but I think frame-wise, size-wise, intensity-wise, I think he fits the Green Bay Packers. They don't have a whole lot of needs urgently, and so you can get this guy and mold him into being a Green Bay Packer, and I think this fits closer to what they might do. With the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the board, I went with a corner here, Nate Wiggins. I can really see Brock Bowers here for sure, but I would like to see Nate Wiggins go off the board, and I think he's a very solid corner. A little bit on the smaller side for sure, but I think the talent-wise and the value, I think it works for the Buccaneers here. With the Cardinals, they did trade back. They got Jared Verse earlier on, and this is where one of my favorite wide receivers goes with Adonai Mitchell. I think he's my wide receiver. Just double checking here so I'm not lying. 4 off the board. I really like his size mixed with his route running ability. Very solid. And he has good red zone ability. Fits a lot of the needs that I think the Cardinals have. And I think just the value-wise here is phenomenal for the Cardinals. If you haven't noticed, I don't have a lot of wide receivers going in this first round because I think a lot of teams are going to stock up on positions first that they need. And then those wide receivers that come down in the second and third rounds are going to be like, okay, let's go and get a guy that's going to be exciting, fit our mold, but also, kind of get us further along in the passing game. So I am going to be way lower on the amount of wide receivers in my first round. But the Buffalo Bills go with a very, very fun, hard-hitting cornerback with TJ Tampa. They just released Trey White and both of their safeties, if I'm not mistaken. And I think this would fit the bill. So, Bills. The Detroit Lions kind of fit in someone that is more of a, all right, let's get this kind of lockdown deal, is getting a guard with Graham Barton. I think he has tackle flexibility, but super solid guard if he's there. Baltimore Ravens here. I went with another very fun, exciting wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. Big body, speed, has the ability to separate. I think he would be a great complement to Zay Flowers. Wait, Zay Flowers or... Yeah, I think it's Zay Flowers, not Zay Jones. San Francisco 49ers, Tyler Guyton, tackle. I think it fits the Niners' need for, kind of the future for the offensive line. Obviously left tackle is locked down, but let's get some more dudes in there, build that offensive line up. And then the Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs, go with another wide receiver, which I think should be a lot higher, is Keon Coleman. Yeah, his 40 time was not ideal, but his play speed is fine. You know what you got with him, but he has a lot of traits that the Chiefs just haven't seen in a while. So I think he'd be a great pair with Patrick Mahomes. Xavier Worthy is another name that could fit there. A lot of wide receivers could fit in that spot. I think the Chiefs do go wide receiver, and Keon Coleman is someone I think isn't talked about enough there. I think it's a real option. So I'm going to go back to my second and third round that I had already done, so that way we can kind of go through it pretty quick. I'm just going to kind of cover briefly each of those rounds, so that way if you have any thoughts about it, you can leave a comment. Just like I talked about earlier, I do respond to the comments. I like to have those kind of conversations. Changes my mind, as you can see. So with the second round, started it off with the Panthers stealing Brock Bowers. I didn't do this on purpose, but if Brock Bowers is there, I think that's a home run of a pick for the Panthers. I do think he goes sooner than this. I just wanted to see, I think Buccaneers would at least be the furthest that he goes. I think he can go a lot higher. But, Brock Bowers being a tight end, it's not a position of extreme value. He's not this, freak athlete. He's just very good at the position, which isn't bad. He's just very good at the position. A lot of intensity, a lot of just knowing where to be at the right time. A lot of great traits, but Brock Bowers still at pick 33. So Kingsley Suamataia, tackle from BYU, obviously, but he was at Oregon for a while. Fits a need. Kool-Aid McKinstry to cornerback from Alabama to the Arizona Cardinals. Chris Braswell, edge from Alabama to the Washington Commanders. Jatavion Sanders, tight end out of Texas to the Chargers. Ladd McConkey, wide receiver, Georgia to the Titans. Tackle Jordan Morgan from Arizona goes to the New York Giants. Linebacker Peyton Wilson out of North Carolina State goes to the Washington Commanders. And that was I forget what trade that's from, but defensive interior Braden Fisk. This is a very exciting one as well. Going to the Packers from Florida State. Had elite traits as a defensive interior player. Really fun tape to watch too. Vikings go running back with Jonathan Brooks, first running back off the board. They recently have left Dalvin Cook and blanking on his name, but the backup there. The Falcons draft Kamari Lassiter, fill a need for cornerback. Raiders add Kieran Amagaji out of Yale, tackle. New Orleans Saints draft edge Jonah Ellis out of Utah. And then my Colts go with Mike Saintstrill, slot corner out of Michigan. I think this is a really solid pick because of the potential of losing Kenny Moore. But even if we keep him, just a great DB to have in the room. Former wide receiver, a lot of upside. New York Giants go with wide receiver Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. Jaguars go edge Chop Robinson out of Penn State. Fun pick here, obviously. Bengals select wide receiver Xavier Worthy out of Texas. That speed with that wide receiver room is something that they just don't have right now, and that would be very exciting to add, different elements to that passing game. The Eagles add wide receiver Troy Franklin, also another speedster. LA Rams add Zach Frazier, center out of West Virginia. Steelers go Edrin Cooper, linebacker out of Texas A&M. Miami Dolphins go edge Adisa Isaac. I forget how you say that, honestly. Eagles with another pick go safety Javon Bullard, add another Georgia Bulldog. Browns, their first pick of the draft, go wide receiver Jalen Polk out of Washington. Very sneaky pick here. I think he's a great route runner. This might be my biggest reach as far as PFF is concerned, but Cowboys going Isaac Urendo. I think this is a very, very exciting pick because Urendo doesn't have a whole lot of mileage. He went to Wisconsin, transferred to Louisville, had a great year, and is also like 6'1", had the fastest 40 time out of the running backs, I believe, or one of the fastest ones. Extremely athletic, great size. Would be a big, not reach, but a big jump from expectation. Packers add running back Jalen Wright. Buccaneers add Christian Haynes, guard out of Connecticut. Houston Texans get their wide receiver Roman Wilson out of Michigan. The Buffalo Bills add a safety in Tyler Nubin out of Minnesota. The Detroit Lions add Rook Ororo, which is the weirdest name to say because it just sounds like a dog, and that's why it fits for the Detroit Lions. The Baltimore Ravens add Ennis Rakestraw Jr., cornerback out of Missouri. Niners select Kyrie Jackson, cornerback out of Oregon. And the Chiefs finish it off with Patrick Paul, tackle out of Houston, that has guard and tackle flexibility. So out of this, it's a lot of very exciting picks that I think have a lot of potential. They're not all, clear day one starters, but, picks like Braden Fisk, Lad McConkey to the Titans, Jatavian Sanders to the Chargers, I think is super interesting. And I think, see here, I think my favorite pick, though, is Isaac Urendo. I'm going to be way higher on this dude than everyone else just because of his size, athleticism, and his mileage. I think that's, it's a perfect mix for what you want. Add that with the Cowboys offensive line. I think he could be the best rookie running back this year. And that's, that's probably a stretch. I don't always know what I'm talking about here. But third round here, just to kind of get this going quick too. Panthers add another pass catcher, Jermaine Burton. Bryce Young threw to him, had a great connection with him. I think this would be a lovely pick to add for them. Cardinals go guard Christian Mahogany out of Boston College. Washington Commanders add Devontae Walker out of North Carolina. Patriots add wide receiver. Another one, they did take Marvin Harrison Jr., but Malachi Corley fits a whole different build of wide receiver and some type of wide receiver that they need to add. Andrew Phillips, cornerback out of Kentucky, goes to the Chargers. Chris Jenkins, defensive tackle out of Michigan, goes to the New York Giants. Arizona Cardinals add a safety, Jaden Hicks. Washington State. New York Jets add wide receiver Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. Renardo Green, cornerback out of Florida State, goes to the Detroit Lions. The Bears, with their traded up pick, take Tavondre Sweat out of Texas, nose tackle. And then the Falcons add guard Mason McCormick out of South Dakota State. The Denver Broncos add Kalen Bullock, safety out of USC. They recently let go Justin Simmons. The Raiders add running back Trey Benson out of Florida State. The Seattle Seahawks go with another local, Braylon Trice out of Washington, edge. The Arizona Cardinals add linebacker Junior Colson. The Bengals, I don't know why I did this, honestly, but add another wide receiver. I didn't look at this one probably, but Johnny Wilson. I'll explain that in a second. The Seattle Seahawks, with another pick, take safety Cameron Kinchins out of Miami. They recently just let go of both of their starting safeties. Colts add center Cedric Van Pran. Los Angeles Rams add Spencer Rattler. Pittsburgh Steelers add center Bo Limmer out of Arkansas. Dolphins forfeit their pick. The Houston Texans add defensive interior Brandon Dorless out of Oregon. The Browns' second pick take edge Gabriel Murphy out of UCLA. Cowboys add wide receiver Jalen McMillan out of Washington. Green Bay Packers add Sione Vaki out of Utah as a safety. Then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers add Marshawn Kneeland, edge out of Western Michigan. Arizona Cardinals add running back Blake Corum out of Michigan. The Green Bay Packers take Max Melton, cornerback out of Rutgers. Detroit Lions take wide receiver Brendan Rice out of USC. Baltimore Ravens take tackle Dominique Puni out of Kansas. San Francisco 49ers take Jamari Thrash out of Louisville as a wide receiver. The Kansas City Chiefs take defensive interior Dwayne Carter out of Duke, Lil Wayne. Jacksonville Jaguars add a backup quarterback with Michael Pratt out of Tulane. The Eagles take another safety with Dadrion Taylor Demerson out of Texas Tech. Linebackers add The Niners add linebacker Maurice Luafau out of Notre Dame. Buffalo Bills add edge Austin Booker out of Kansas. Los Angeles Rams add Blake Fisher, tackle out of Notre Dame. And the Washington Commanders add Chris Abrams-Drain out of Missouri. So that's a quick little brief coverage of the third round as well. Some of my favorite picks here are going to be Jermaine Burton to the Panthers with that connection with Bryce Young. Johnny Wilson, like I said, I would explain later, actually isn't going to go as a wide receiver, but kind of in that tight end, big slot role. And then Spencer Rattler to the Rams, I think is very interesting. A lot of comparable arm talent to Matt Stafford and gives them, a solid backup, but also a potential future plan if Matthew Stafford decides to hang it up for some reason. Other picks that I really like, Blake Corum to the Cardinals, kind of a good, mix with, James Conner. And then I want to say there was another one that I really liked. Kalen Bullock, safety out of USC. Big safety, but I think he comes in and is a good flex safety. Bring him down in the box, play, center fielder. A lot of things that you can do with Kalen Bullock. And then Leggett to the Jets would be fun as well with Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, that's my my first, second, and third round mock draft. If you have any thoughts about your team specifically that you disagree with me with, or you have other ideas, please put those in the comments. I like to respond to those, and I definitely will. And I potentially could shout you out. So if you like that kind of stuff, cool. But I just wanted to wrap that up here. There's a lot of exciting things coming around the corner with free agency. I will be putting out another mock draft once we get through the first wave of free agency, and we can kind of see where the teams fall from there. So if you've stuck to the end, really, really appreciate that. Again, another reminder, if you haven't, please like, comment, subscribe, interact with this video. Helps us out a bunch. As a small YouTube channel, it's fun to watch us grow. So please do that. Other than that, we'll see you on the next one.